Hello, my name is Kathryn Gledhill-Tucker. I'm a Nyungar technologist, writer, and digital rights activist based in Western Australia. I currently live on Whadjuk Noongar boodjar. I grew up on the south coast in Capricorn, Esperance, WA. I write poetry, science fiction, and occasionally essays that explore surveillance, digital colonialism, and our relationship with machines. A lot of the work that I produce is reflective of the history of technology, and specifically the history of computers and the way that computers and their design is rooted in the military industrial complex. So a lot of the work and the thinking that I do is about reimagining what computers and what technology could look like if it were different, if it wasn't created to predict the target trajectory of missiles. What would computers look like if it were created by Indigenous peoples is a big area of research and in thinking for me. So, and in particular, my creative practice interrogates the materiality of technology. So the ways that computers are literally filled with bits of country and they're embedded with bits of country that are from the layers of substrate of sand and land and waters and country right down to the copper wires and the rare earth minerals that compose circuit boards. But the way that we talk about computers and technology, like we talk about the cloud or we talk about these really ephemeral concepts, they're abstracted away from that materiality. Like we're taught to forget that computers are made of things from the earth and from the land. So I choose very deliberately to write speculative and science fiction, particularly because for Indigenous peoples, imagining ourselves in the future as alive and flourishing peoples is a very radical act. It's a very radical thing to do, especially inside a colonial system that wanted to eradicate us. So imagining these utopias and alternative realities is a way for me to write hope into the future and into the present as well. It's about a way to say there are other possible realities for people in my community that aren't rooted in violence. So I also, as I mentioned, I'm a digital rights activist. I sit on the board of Electronic Frontiers Australia, which is a not-for-profit organisation that champions digital rights and privacy in Australia. So specifically about championing human rights in a digital space. This work involves a lot of reading legislation and writing submissions, but more importantly, it involves predicting the kind of cultural effects of legislative change and the effects of new technology, and communicating that really widely to people. So, which is really similar to writing science fiction. It's about anticipating the effects of change and conducting this kind of exercise of, well, what could go wrong and what could we do differently, which I think is a thought process that is often really missing in technology when people are building stuff, is about thinking, well, who could this harm? What are the adverse effects that we're not necessarily designing for? So I think working in tech for the last 10 years and being really interested in science fiction and speculative fiction and activism has all just really come together in this nice way where I can be very proactive, both in imagining futures and then trying to very deliberately write legislation or write submissions for legislation that counteracts those dystopic possibilities. So there's nothing inevitable about technology as much as companies would like to tell stories of the future of ubiquitous artificial intelligence or the singularity. And I believe that as long as we are creative and imaginative beings, that dystopias are not, in fact, inevitable. But change is slow. And I think in order to make change happen, it is really important to find community and link arms with people who are as passionate about making the world better as you are. That's certainly been the case for me. some of my favorite people and favorite friends are people that I've met through the digital rights community, and it just takes enough people to be openly and loudly passionate about a particular idea or a particular campaign or a particular change that we want to see in the world. And once you start being loud, you hear and see other people who are also being loud about the same thing. And you learn that, oh, yeah, I don't just need to scream into the void anymore. We can scream into the void together. And there is an incredible galvanizing effect when you do find other people in these communities and in these spaces that care about the same things that you do. And it is really sustaining and really critical. Like, I don't think that I would be able to work or care about these kinds of initiatives for as long as I have without having that grounding force of community. So there's something very beautiful about writing and reading that has opened myself up to new communities and people that I never would have met otherwise. So yeah, there are many, many ways to make change. And I think it's just about finding what works for you and then finding the people around you that are also really passionate about the same things and passionate about the same methods of change. But yes, I've found that when you care about something, the chances are very high that others will care about it too and already be looking for those kindred spirits. Thank you.